Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? I'm in a post Thanksgiving food coma. Let me look at some of these comments here before we get started. Um, Welcome, everybody. Kat is here. Paul is here. Yahusha is here. Oh, let me lower that volume. I'm going to try to be a little bit more advanced today with the live stream. I'm going to use a little bit of Photoshop. I'm going to do a little bit of drawing. We're going to do a little bit of everything today. It should be fun, and hopefully it'll be really informative, and I'll give you some really good tips on how to draw fabric. Fabric, when I draw stuff, it's the same as everything else. So if I'm drawing fabric, I'm using the same tools that I would use if I'm drawing a portrait. If I'm drawing fabric, I'm using the same tools I would be using if I was drawing the figure. It's all the same stuff. You've got to look at the form, and you've got to look at where the light and shade is coming from, and the only difference really is textures. Okay, so Kat is here. Welcome. Paul is here. Phoenix is here. Awesome, awesome. Aura is here. Helen, welcome to the live stream. Let me look up top over here. And Nancy is here. God, Shelby is here. Thank you so much for visiting with me here on this Thanksgiving Saturday. I hope you guys are not in a food coma. I had leftovers all day yesterday, and food I should not be eating. That doesn't agree with my body, but it is what it is. Truffles is over there sleeping, and all kinds of Melvin. Jermaine, Sabi, Dana, thank you so much for signing up to the 2-year membership. Wow, that's pretty awesome. And you got the discount, so I'm really happy that you got the discount. When I was doing the sale, drawingtutorialsonline.com is having a sale until Monday. I'll just say it here once. If you want to save a little money, 10% off. You can sign up for a month and try it out. If you don't like it, you can cancel anytime. But I am having a sale, and you can read about it in the description below where it says show more. But Dana, thank you so much for signing up. I know I'm going to bore you all to death here. Ileana, Richard. So let's get started here. My battery died. Dennis, Megana, Ace. All right. So listen. Hello to everybody who has joined the live stream. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get started because I know your time is really valuable, and this live stream should go about an hour. So how it's going to work is I'm going to draw a little bit on top of this beautiful painting that I'm going to explain to you. Welcome from Mexico. And then I'm going to do a little sketch of this woman, the mom in the painting. So let's get started. Now I'm going to switch here to Photoshop, and you're going to tell me if anything sounds different, if something sounds, hey, Jill, Peter, welcome. With the audio, you just let me know. Now, I know I've gotten reamed out from moving my mouth from the microphone, so I'm going to try to keep it. Thanks, Dana. I'm going to try to keep my mouth as close as I can to the microphone. Okay. Montreal, love it. Phoenix, love it. All right, so what do you see here on your monitor? You see this painting. Let me get my book here. You see this painting by this guy, Greuze, okay? And let me just slide this over. There's so much going on my screen. I'm running out of real estate. So this book is a book that I got many, many years ago. It's a thin little book. I got it from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It was a grand total of $4.25. It was the best money I've ever spent. And this is a painting. Hey, Michelle, Tucson. Love Tucson. This is a painting that is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And this painting is titled Broken Eggs. And I'm not going to get into the history of the painting. I'll let your imagination wander. The mom seems a little angry. So, yeah. Who knows what happened in this painting? But, this was a painting that really inspired me when I was younger, when I was starting out as an illustrator. I'm like, okay, this is a role model painting for me that I want to paint like this. And I want to be able to paint fabric like this. And I just think that this painting is awesome. Now, there's a major, major Connecticut right across the Sound. Love it. I'm like, yeah. I love taking the ferry across to Connecticut. I absolutely love it. I love going to I think it's, is it Cabela's maybe? Just to look around. That store is amazing, right near the ferry terminal. Yeah, Connecticut's awesome. So I digress. I'm all scatterbrained here today. So there's a major flaw in this painting, and maybe towards the end of the live stream, I'll tell you about the flaw. And this is a gorgeous painting that is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And when I found the flaw, I'm like, oh my God, there's a painting in this big museum. Hey, Anna, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. There's this painting that has a problem with it that is a major problem with the perspective, but it's hanging in the museum. And there's a major problem with this painting, and I still love it. So it just goes to show you that a painting does not need to be perfect. Hi, Aurora, to be something that you really, really like. Every piece of art has mistakes. So let's get started here. So let me zoom in. So I just want to show you the painting in its fullest. And I love the young woman in blue and white, and her face is just perfect. The way that in the train to Berlin, wow, that's so awesome. When I saw this girl's face, I'm like, okay, that's the way that I need to paint faces on book covers. Just like a little shadow under the nose, very soft shading. She's my model for how I think about doing portraits, okay? So let's come on over to this woman, okay, the mom. I love the boy too. The boy is awesome. Let's talk about fabric. So here's a couple of things that I do believe will help you when it comes to drawing fabric. And I'll spend a few minutes here in Photoshop just kind of showing you some little things here. Yeah, the little boy is just amazing. You know, when I was younger, I do believe I had a poster of this painting in my studio. Actually, not my studio. It might have been my bedroom studio when I was younger, growing up, because I just looked at the boy so much. Maybe it was the book. I don't know, but yeah. Okay, so fabric. So the first thing that you've got to think about, let's go for the low-hanging fruit first, okay? So the first thing you have to think about is that this woman's skirt is a cylinder, okay? And this really, you know, overall, you try your very best, and we're going to go right through the boy, and you just try to think of this woman, her skirt, as being a big cylinder, just like that. So the key takeaway in all of this, if you leave this live stream today and you're like, okay, it's about cylinders. So her skirt is a cylinder. Her sleeve is a cylinder. Okay. And this sleeve is also a cylinder. Okay. And I know this is not really the most exciting thing, but this is really how I start to think about fabric. I think about fabric that everything is first a primitive cylinder. Now, there's another thing for you to think about with, hello from Brazil, fabric, and that is surface planes. So we've done so many live streams, and we've talked about form, and we've talked about lots of cool things here. And so this, her top now is becoming more of a surface plane. We're talking the fabric, okay? So it's right where her chest kind of goes from the top plane to the underplane. So that's more of a surface plane. So remember what we talked about last week with the hand? And I said I was trying to talk about meditation and this thing with duality. So the hand is a box, but it's a cylinder. It's not just a box and it's not just a cylinder. It's kind of both at the same time. And it's the same thing with fabric. It's cylindrical, but it's also boxy at the same time. It's both, okay? Now, what happens is that you've got these cylinders, these big, grandiose cylinders, but then on top of the big cylinders lives little cylinders, okay? And sometimes, let me do that in a different way. Okay, let's come back here. So this is a little bit more of, right up top over here, it's more of a surface plane, okay? Because it's a sharper creased fold in the fabric. But then as we come down over here, that starts to become more of a cylindrical type shape. So over here, it's a little bit more of a cylinder, little bit more of a cylinder. Now, is it a perfect cylinder? No, absolutely not. It is not a perfect cylinder. This is more of what? This is more of a surface plane. Okay, so it looks a little bit more, the fabric looks a little bit more flat. This is more of a cylinder. So what you're doing when you're drawing any fabric, a pair of jeans, a skirt, a dress, fabric that's a tablecloth, the first thing you've got to think about is it surface planes or does it make up a cylinder? And we know that human beings' arms are cylinders and their legs are cylinders. Oops, I thought I was scrolling on the chat. I didn't want to do that to you. But yeah, it's first your big cylinder, then your little cylinder. And then we look also like over here on this woman's sleeve, and there's this like S-curve thing happening, and those little folds of fabric are all cylindrical. Some of the folds over here on her top, I hope this is big enough for you to see here in Photoshop. Some of the folds on her top are surface planes, and one or two of them are cylindrical. Okay. Now, if we move over, let's just let's keep on this lady over here. So you also have to think about, we talked about cylinders, big ones and small ones. The small ones live on the big ones, and what those cylinders are folds. Now, I want you to understand the difference between folds and wrinkles. And do I have any wrinkles in my shirt? No, thank God. But, you know, what happens is let me show you my big bicep over here. Most of the folds happen when you bend your arm. So the folds are going to happen at the joint most of the time. Okay. And there's a lot of folds all over this fabric, but there's mainly folds where a joint is bent. Okay. Now, another thing, some of these other like little triangular shapes down over here, I know that's probably very difficult for you to see. So there's a triangular shape. There's another triangular shape over here. There's lots of them. That's where a top plane goes to an underplane, or a front plane goes to an underplane. So it's a surface plane shift. Okay. Now let's talk about a different piece of fabric very quickly before I give you the next thing. So if there's a link to this photo in the description of this video, underneath the video, where it says show more. You could go and download the photo yourself. It's a huge photo. It's like 3,000 pixels wide. It's really, really a great photo for you to study. Look at this. I mean, I'm zooming in and look at how good this quality is. So now let me not zoom in that big. Okay. I think that's good enough. Remember, excuse me, the fabric takes the shape of what it's on. So if this woman or this young lady's arm is a cylinder, the fabric is going to take on the shape of the arm or wrap around the arm in the cylindrical way. But if, say, this tablecloth is on the table is surface planes. It's not a cylinder. So you have the top plane of the fabric and then the front plane of the fabric. So that fabric there is taken on the shape more of a box. Okay. And I know some of you on the other side of this monitor are saying, okay, Matt, that's fine, but how does this help me draw fabric? This is how you've got to think. So you think, and that's your mental part of it, and then there's the physical part of it, the actual drawing. I'll show you that shortly. Just hang in there with me. I'm going to get to that. So this is our surface planes, and then what we have living on top of the surface planes are cylinders. So kind of. So this is kind of a tapered cylinder that makes a cone. This is kind of a cylindrical shape, is very skinny over here. So that is how you've got to think about it. And then even over here, it's more of a surface plane, but I'm going to force the cylinder. That's more of a horizontal cylinder because the table is a little bit more horizontal. Okay. Thank you. Once again, if I'm not seeing you in the chat, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And I want to make this valuable for you in terms of giving you as much information as I possibly can. So this is what I would be doing in my drawing class at the School of Visual Arts, in the Zoom class. And this is also what I would be doing in some of the tutorials that I have on the website, drawingtutorialsonline.com. I would do a little bit of drawing and I would do a little bit of this. I've been doing this for years and I'm really comfortable working in Photoshop this way. Now, let's talk about the thing. I wish I was smarter. I wish I was more dynamic, and I wish I had different things to teach you every Saturday morning. But unfortunately, most of what you draw falls into all of the same categories. It falls into thinking about form. It falls into shading in a solid way. All of these things we've talked about. And then it also, one of the most important things that you have to understand when it comes to drawing, painting, oil painting, watercolor painting, digital painting, it's all the same thing, is where is the light coming from? Okay, so let me zoom out. And now we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, or maybe what we can say is the boring thing in the room. Because for a lot of people, the light and shade is not really that sexy thing. Light and shade is this thing that is very boring to a lot of people. But I think that light and shade is one of the most important elements that you could think about when you draw and paint, because light and shade is the physical way that you are going to show this on a piece of paper. Okay, so for me, now, light and shade. Let's talk about it. So the light is coming from, who could tell me where the light's coming from? I'm going to say that the light, we find the light source by looking at the shadows. So we have light coming and hitting this young woman's face, and we can see a form light. So that's our line that separates the light from the shadow. Okay, and that's pretty cool, and it goes all the way up top. So that's the shadow side of her head, and that is the cast shadow on her shoulder. So that tells me that the light's coming from the top left, because there is a shadow underneath her nose. Now, I'm sure the light is manipulated everywhere, but in terms of the fabric, okay, let's go back to this older, the mom. Let's just call her the mom, although she does kind of look like the grandmother. I don't want to zoom in too much. Let me just drag this sucker down. No. Okay, 1 second. I just have way too many windows open. I just need to go a little slower here. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Let's focus in on the mom. She kind of looks like the grandmother, doesn't she? So light and shade. So we've decided that the light is coming from the top left, and we're looking at this cylinder over here. This cylinder has a line that separates the light from the shadow. So how you are, oh, from Italy. My mom's from Italy, and she's going to watch this probably during the week. And she came from Sanicandro di Bari. She's going to be laughing on the other side of the screen if she's actually watching this. So shadow shapes. So remember, where is the light hitting the fabric? Today's class is about how to draw fabric. Where is the light hitting the fabric? And so you have to think about that. What's the form? This form is basically a cylindrical shape that's wrapping around like that. I'm going to do my stripes a different way. Okay, something like that. So we have our light side and our shadow side. Now, here's our line that separates light from the dark. So we have our shadow, cast shadow, and that's our light. And the light is coming from the top, and under plane shapes, like that's the shadow, that's the cast shadow. Okay, this over here is a shadow shape. So the way that you physically draw fabric is that you think about, okay, form, surface planes, cylinders, and then you ask yourself the question, where is the light coming from? And then if you're drawing a cylinder, right, so this guy's leg here, hopefully you can see this, this guy's leg is a cylinder, and don't get caught up with looking at all of the folds in that fabric. Just think of it as a tapered cylinder. Here is our line that separates light from the dark. It gets a little confusing, okay? And that's our shadow side, and that's our light side. And these little tonal shifts are what we call, why does that happen when I'm in? a live stream, it goes to an arrow, my cursor. These little values over here are just underplanes, but they're underplanes on the light side of the fabric, and so you don't want to make them as dark as the dark, okay? And that's all pretty much going very far away from the light, and it's a little bit more muted, but again, it's the form. The form is a cylinder, and draw physically your line that separates light from the dark on the cylinder. And everything, in my opinion, is either a cylinder or a surface plane. So when you look at this fabric over here, you've got to think of it as a cylinder. And then all of a sudden it shifts to more of a surface plane. Okay? Sometimes the fabric's going to be a little bit more flat. I would call that flat. I would call that a cylinder. Where's the light hitting the cylinder? Squint and draw the line that separates the light from the shadow. And okay, so now I'm going to give you two more things that are really, really, really important. Sometimes you're going to get the modeling factors on the cylinder. Okay, and so we see that, where do we see the modeling factors on cylinders? It's really more on the white. Let's go down to the fabric over here. Cool. This is beautiful. So this is a cylinder. This is our line that separates light from the dark. Okay, and what we have is, in the modeling factors, we talk about the modeling factors sphere. So basically the sphere starts with light and shadow. But then we have, and I'm sure there are other teachers on YouTube that use all these other terms that I don't use, and that's cool. These are the terms that I like, and these are the terms that I use. But you go with what you like. You don't have to follow what I say. Welcome, Vietnam. UK, Liverpool, welcome, Benedict, Wendell, Dante's, Phoenix, thank you. So what we have when we do the modeling factors, I'm going to abbreviate this. I should have a video on the modeling factors on my YouTube channel. I know that I have it on my site in the Begin Here Step-by-Step department, but it should be on my YouTube channel somewhere. I don't know where, though. Okay, so this is highlight, light halftone, line that separates, dark halftone, reflected light, accent where one thing touches another, cast shadow. So you should see that like right over here. This is I'm going to put dots, highlight, light halftone, dark halftone, reflected light, cast shadow. Not all the modeling factors were there. Okay, so the modeling factors are going to give your fabric drawings some really cool effect. Okay, so you don't want to just do, when you're drawing the cylinders, light and shadow, although that's better than nothing. Like over here on this fold of fabric, I'm really seeing the modeling factors, and you could see here where I'm putting these dots. Okay, we're going to be drawing in about 2 minutes, where I'm putting these dots, because I know Photoshop drawing me drawing like this, oh my God, trying to get too much information. It's tedious and it's boring, so I'm going to draw for you in a moment. But what happens is the light comes, hits this part of the white fabric, and then the fabric bounces light into the shadow, and you get this beautiful warm glow. That's more applicable to painting and not necessarily drawing, but it's vital that you don't just think of like this leg as a cylinder and you're going to just do, that whole leg is in shadow. But let's say it wasn't in shadow and there was a light and a shadow. That's where you begin, light and shadow. But then you add the modeling factors and it really gives it that kind of pop. And okay, so this woman's arm is very round. Okay, there's no bones in there. That's our line that separates, highlight, light halftone, dark halftone, reflected light, accent where it touches, and then cast shadow. I don't want to overdo that, okay? I don't really know 100% the Bouguereau. Bouguereau is one of my favorite artists, but I'm not going to lie, I don't know his exact painting method. I wish I did, but I don't. But I'll talk about a Bouguereau painting. I love Bouguereau. I have this book. If I went over and I got it right now, I'd probably get a hernia because it's so heavy. But yeah, I'll try. Okay, Puglia in. Oh yeah, my mother's from. I was in Puglia. It was actually really cool. Um, okay, but that was a long time ago. I haven't been there in years. All right, so any questions about this? Post them in the comments. Now I'm going to switch and it's going to look really clumsy. So let me zoom out and let's just do a quick little recap. Okay, and yeah, lots of fundamentals. Again, um, uh, for me, it's everything's the same. What if I'm drawing the figure? It's the same as drawing a portrait. It's the same techniques I would use when I draw hands. And fabric, it's just the same thing. Where's the light hitting the form? But what's the texture of the fabric? So is the fabric leather? Leather reflects light, so there's going to be more highlights. Is it cotton? Cotton absorbs light. There's going to be no highlights, barely any. So the texture is what really makes the fabric the fabric. Is the fabric opaque or is the fabric translucent? There's too much for me to talk about in this live stream here today because there's things that I want to show you drawing-wise. But I do notice that when we zoom out, everything gets a little bit crisper versus like when I zoom in, things get a little less definitive. And when I zoom out, things get a little bit crisper and more deliberate. And you can see the shadow shapes a whole lot more. Okay. Now, there's another thing. I'm going to give you all my tips and tricks here today. Okay. Because this is just huge, but I've already taught you this. If you've been following me on the live stream, you should know this already. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm going to talk about and get this on the table. Here's another really vital tip for you in terms of when you draw fabric. Okay, Armin, I hope I said that right. Angela, welcome. Yeah, Angela, I will do a Bouguereau, no doubt. I did the Bouguereau self-portrait drawing. Okay, so this other thing with fabric is, let's say you have a pencil and you're going to draw this woman's arm. Okay, you don't draw the arm this way with that type of outline. You do not draw the outline of that sleeve. We're talking about fabric now. That way. What is that? That's all concave. Concave is this. Convex is this. Okay. So instead of doing your lines that way around the sleeves, what you need to do, and let me backtrack here. I've got too many windows open. Backtrack. Okay. You need to do lines that wrap around the form. I've talked about this in everything. Drawing hair, drawing fabric, drawing the figure. So look at this. Like, see how this comes in? It wraps around the cylinder. It comes in. It comes in. Okay? You don't want to overdo this. You're really going to see it more where a joint is bent. So this is a little bit more straight-ish. Not so many convexes because that's not bent. It's the same thing like when we talk about the torso peanut shape. Okay? So torso peanut shape, you don't draw the torso peanut shape like that. You draw it like this, and that's the convex line. And that convex line is your rib cage. It's a fold of skin over here at your pelvis. So you have to have convexes when you draw fabric, okay? And so last thing, convex, okay? So it's all over the place. Now let's switch, and before I close out, let me just close out this monitor. Okay, and so I don't know if you can see this. Let me show you. Okay, let me switch something here. Where is my... One moment. Okie dokie. So this ratty little thing is my foam board. Okay, so it's like a presentation board that you would use in a science class. And what I do is I tape my drawing on top of the foam board. And what I do is put this foam board, I wrap it. Let's block the camera. Let's not knock anything over. Okay, that wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad. I did that without being a klutz. Okay, so that's my drawing board. Now let's switch. And you let me know if the sound changes when I switch. It shouldn't switch, but okay, so let me move my microphone. Okay, so we have the woman. I did this sketch earlier, and I'll show you how I did the sketch here in a moment. I'll talk about how I did this and what my thought process was. Yeah, it's similar to drawing hair shapes. All of this stuff is the same. If I'm drawing hands, like what we talked about last week, even though that live stream, the quality was terrible, yeah. Oh, the perspective mistake. I promise you, I will talk about the perspective mistake maybe at the end. I promise you, because a couple people were telling me to move on to the drawing already. Sound is good. Okay. Nothing fell and Truff slept through it. Success. Yeah, Truffs is over there. She's out, man. She's out. All right. So just for the newcomers on the live stream, I'm just drawing with the Col-Erase pencil. Nothing fancy. I use the same pencil in every single video that I do. Maybe I'll use a kneaded eraser. Maybe I won't. My eraser crumbs, I brush them off with the brush. Same old, same old. Now, remember, when you warm up, you scribble. Okay, scribble, 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 figure eight, figure eight, figure eight, scribble. Now, look at that scribble and look at my scribble of the figure, the woman. It's the same. Okay, so let's talk about some practical things with drawing fabric. The paper is Strathmore 400 series drawing paper. It's in the description. You can see everything in the description below where it says show more. Okay, let me just tape this. It's generic Strathmore paper, nothing fancy. It's affordable, and you can find it anywhere. So when I started drawing, okay, what I did was I thought about the cylinders. Am I going to draw cylinders? No, I did that one on purpose so you can see how I'm thinking about this. I've got this on the remote control. Let me move that. Okay, so it's not bouncing. Okay, that's better. Nothing fell drastically. Good. Okay, so when you draw fabric, what you need to do is think about big chunks of the fabric. So the first, just give me a heads up if anybody can hear Truff snoring. Okay, so because she's snoring really bad. So my first chunk of fabric was the cylinder of the skirt. How to control pencil strokes. Okay, so how you control pencil strokes is you just practice doing figure eights and drive your pencil on the road. You know, as you well know, for those of you who have been with me, you know that I have some neck problems, specifically herniated discs. And when you have herniated discs, it affects nerves in your body, specifically nerves in your arm. And I'm lying in bed last night at 4 o'clock in the morning, and my hands were tingling. And I'm like, how the heck am I going to do this? So my hands feel all right today. They're not too bad. So first thing, her body is a cylinder, so you draw that big shape first. And then you ask yourself the question, okay, let's go to the upper body. Let's just do a line of action through here. So that was my second line. Okay, I'm going to do this a little bit darker so you can see. So that's a big, I like to call that elbow to elbow or hand to hand line of action. We could have started right there. So our first shape was the cylinder of the skirt part of her outfit. The second shape is this line of action. Okay. Ooh, an oxygen shot. Oh, really? Okay, we're going to have to... Could you... my website, MatthewArchambault.com or drawingtutorialsonline.com, send me an email. There's a contact, and I would love to... into the disc. Oh, okay. No need of surgery. That sounds really painful. Tell me about that in the email because we're going to bore everybody. Okay, cool. So that's step number one. Step number two is that you start to separate shapes. So now I'm going to draw the, let's just call it an apron. So, I don't have my photo reference out. That would be really nice if I had my photo reference. Okay, awesome. Another window open. So now what I'm going to do here is at the apron, convex line. Okay, cool. Convex line into the cylinder. Convex line, separate the apron from, let's just call it the skirt, the red kind of red-brown skirt. So I'm coming on down, and I'm looking at this part of her skirt as a different shape. Okay, let me just move this 1 second. Bear with me. Cool. And is my head in the camera? It would be really nice if my head was in the camera. Okay. So think of the big shape of the skirt, separate the apron, okay, and do a couple of convexes. And now we're going to draw maybe a little bit on the inside with a long cylinder. So that's going to come down, and now I see the shadow part. I got a lot of smudging happening here. That's the shadow part. So I'm just going to outline some of these things first. And then we have this sharp, crisp line that comes down over here. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at what I always look at, and I'm drawing through the little boy, the cute little boy. He's so cool. And we have a line that separates the light from the shadow underneath her sleeve. So I'm drawing light shapes, shadow shapes. That's what I'm doing. It's the same thing as drawing a portrait. It's the same thing as drawing a cast drawing. It's the same thing as drawing the figure. I need to resharpen this pencil. 1 second. It's getting a little sloppy here. Okay. Let me take the point off of the pencil and dull it just a little. Okay, so we've drawn some shadow shapes, and the skirt kind of comes out. I don't know if you can see that. Again, I put the link for this photo reference of this painting. Seriously? Okay, hold on a second. That was embarrassing. I never answer my phone, ever. But I was waiting for a call yesterday from somebody, and I actually put the volume up. And so that was a mistake. Yeah, I'd never answer my phone. It just, if they will want me, they'll find me. So I'm just doing some shadow shapes over here. Now let's just get in the base. I lifted up the sleeve. So last week we talked about targets. So this was my first line for her sleeve, the second line for her sleeve, the third line for her sleeve. I made that arm way too long, so I'm looking at the distance from here to here. So this is just a cylinder. I'm going to draw it like that. And then we're going to come on in, convex line, and then we're going to separate clothing. So there's the white part of her outfit versus the green sleeve. And the green and the red was not an accident. That's a beautiful color opposite on the character design. So I think this painting was done in like the late 1700s. Okay, I promise I'll get to everything. I'll do my best. So then we go around and we separate. Okay, and we come on down, and this is where I would be doing those kind of S curves with some of the folds in the fabric. This is where I would be coming on in, squinting perhaps, and trying my very best to draw the line that separates the light from the dark all the way down into her wrist area. And I'm looking at the length of that. Okay, so then if I wanted to shade with this fabric, I'm going to shade straight up and down. Okay, because it's easier for me to do right now. So I'm just going to shade up and down, shade up and down. And so now underneath the breasts, I'm going to shade because that's an underplane. I'm not going to match the values on this because that would take me forever to shade, because this is a middle tone, that's a light. Okay, and so I'm definitely not going to match the values because I'll be here all day. I'm just going to focus in on the line that separates the light from the dark. Okay, And I'm just simply going to block in and make this a solid shadow shape for the fabric. So nothing new here. I've taught you this. This is the same old, same old. I wish I was a little bit more interesting. Now there's a little sleeve over here because she's grabbing his arm. So I'm going to just put that cylinder over there. But we could ignore that and we could just connect with a line for her. And that could be a convex line because she's crunching. She's bending over. Okay, now over here, let me just look. Okay, do you look? Okay, so let me just look at a question here. Do you look and focus on the lines when you're drawing, or do you try to see the drawing as a whole? Both. So as I'm drawing, like I'm looking at the whole entire figure, but then I focus in on my line to make sure it's a pretty looking line. Like I knew I had to sharpen my pencil when I saw that line. It really wasn't a pretty looking line. Okay, so now I'm just going to, so you have to, when you do a cast shadow, remember now I'm doing shadow shapes. This is where on the figure you show that it's round and just by the cast shadow line. Okay, that's really important. So I'm just going to block in the shadow side of the apron. Block it in and go for the overall first light and shadow. Just block in. Okay, block in. And now you can come on in and block in the shadow shape that we've done over here. Okay, now this isn't so dark, but I'm now going to start to do some curved lines around. Curved lines around. Now this is a different value, the red-brown skirt. So maybe what I could do is I could just shade the whole red-brown skirt, a different value than the apron. Okay, so the way that I'm drawing right now is very soft, and this would take me a very long time to bring to a final conclusion, but I'm going to do my best. So now I'm doing my line that separates. It's a triangular shape over here. That's a surface plane. Okay, so I'm just getting in. Now this swoops down, and I'm going to look at the questions here in a moment. Swoops down, another shape of shadow. Okay, there's a triangular shape over here. I could have made this a little bit more to the left. That was a screw up. So I'm going to move this a little bit more to the left, move this a little bit more to the left, and no straight lines. We need that to wrap around. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, values first. Okay. And so you see what I'm doing here? I'm just slowly working my way through the fabric. And I always tell my students in class, where do you start? Like people ask, where do I start? You start at what looks easiest for you to draw. Let's draw through that little boy. Okay, now we're just going to, this was our big simple cylindrical shape, but now we're coming on in and there's two cylinders because there's two legs. Okay, and we have a convex line over here. I don't really see too much of a convex line on the skirt. Let me resharpen the pencil. Okay, and let's take the point off of the pencil just a little bit. Let's come on in here. So there's a convex line. No, it's not cheating. That's just drawing with an eraser and a pencil. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't concern myself with the word cheating. I sometimes do the same thing as you. I do, but it's not cheating. It's a technique. It's called pulling out the lights. And people do that with oil paint, and they'll put a whole layer of oil paint on the board like a sienna, and then they use like a fabric, a cheesecloth, to pull the paint off to reveal the light canvas. So you could definitely draw that way. That's a great way to draw. And people do that with charcoal all the time. So I'm just trying to stay light with the light fabric, okay? Not being perfect here. There's a little side plane, little underplane of the cylinder, keeping it very light in the light. Just show a little bit of a front plane. I would recommend starting with cotton because cotton absorbs light. So just get a piece of fabric and hang it on a hook. Put a light source on it so the fabric has a light, a shadow, and it's casting a shadow on the wall. You can hang it on a doorknob, okay? You could take a cotton t-shirt and pull it out of your drawer. I did this when I was in high school for my college portfolio. I had my desk, and at the time I had clothes in my desk, and I would pull the fabric, the t-shirt, out of the desk drawer, open the desk drawer, wrap it around the desk drawer so it's drooping, and I didn't have a hook on my wall at the time. And you can do an exercise like that. That would be phenomenal. But remember, the most important thing is the light and shade. If you don't have any light and shade on the fabric, it's going to be much harder for you to draw. So experiment. If you don't have like a professional photography life, just use a lamp, or put your fabric over a chair that's near a window. That would be really good, but cotton totally first. Okay. So you can see here, I could push things a little bit more. His blue coat or cloak, whatever you want to say, is kind of a cast and a shadow on her. So now if we go up top and we work a little bit on her fabric, these are just going to be some lines that I'm going to, it's white, so you think about the value ratios. And I'm going to do some white line. I'm doing line first. It's a little tiny right now for me to do the model and factors on each little cylinder. So that's the thing with fabric. If you go really small with your drawing, you may not have enough room to get all of the model and factors in. You could if you have eagle eyes, but what I'm doing here is I'm just starting to begin the process with the fabric drawing of putting in some lines that separate. I'm putting in some shadow shapes. I'm keeping my lights light. Now I'm going to shade this on a diagonal, so I'm using a different pencil stroke direction. Let's shade that. It covers some of my mistakes. Yeah, so you just, okay, how do I explain this? So when you're drawing the figure could be, is this on the monitor? Yeah. The figure could be drawn with shapes. So maybe the person is kneeling, and their foot and their butt would make a shape like that, and their torso would make a shape like that. Their head would make a shape like that. So this is how I like to draw first. I like to draw things in shapes. So the apron, or at least this part of her lower leg part of the skirt, was making more of a triangle. Okay, so if we come on down this and we draw that little shape, it's a shape like this, the brown part of the skirt. Okay, so it's making a shape like that. So I like to think about big shapes, flat shapes. It's flat. And yeah, then on that flat shape, which is this right here, this triangular thing, lives cylinders and or surface planes. So that would be like a first initial block in. And now it's a matter of what's your style and how long do you have to work on this drawing. So you can see over here, I just suggested I don't know what you would call that on her head. I'm just kind of suggesting. What you want to do is you want to look at where is the bottom of her chin in relationship to her shoulder. I don't want to turn it into a figure drawing tutorial, but that's how I would just suggest the head. Okay. Okay. Now you resharpen your pencil and you come on in and you pick an area that looks easy for you to understand, and you start to press down a little bit harder, and you start to commit a little bit more. How long are we into this live stream? We're doing good. Yeah, cylinder feet, absolutely. Organic Paul, what's up, man? Yeah, part of the head is missing. Ah, thank you. Appreciate that. Dennis, you're the man. I didn't even see that. Okay, so now let's come on in and let's revisit. And now let's start to break down. And this is just really like putting together a puzzle when you're drawing something complicated like this with fabric. So I'm going to show you a book. I'm just going to take a break here for a second. Okay. And this book is another gem of a book. It's The Drawings of Alphonse Maria Mucha. It's a skinny little thing. Okay, it's not thick at all. It's really skinny. And if we go to the best fabric drawing ever, this one. So this is how you draw fabric with line. And you can see that the pencil strokes over here are going with the lay of the land. There are no straight lines on this drawing, no straight lines. Okay, and everything's curving around cylinders. Okay, and what he's drawing is light shapes, shadow shapes. What is the difference between his and my drawing? Well, he's a master and I'm just a guy doing a YouTube video. But he's using a different pencil and he's not doing soft tone. He's doing really, really more of a definitive, kind of like a China marker, really crisp line. This is not about soft tone. But if you look across the way, so that this is just such a great drawing. If you look across the way, that's more of a charcoal / wash fabric. Okay, so you have to do the style that you like. When I teach how to draw fabric, this is what I show my students because they're animation students and they love to draw it with line. So what I like to do is do that line on top of the tone. Okay, so let's come on in and do a little bit more of those. This is really disjointed and I've got to start to make this look a little prettier. So I'm going to come on in and just do some line, but I don't want it too sharp. So squint a little bit. Okay. See, the kids are outside. That means it's a warm day out. Squint a little bit. Let's go a little darker over here. So this cylinder is very skinny. And this would be our line that separates on this. We don't want to go so dark here because this is white. Just let's crisp it up a little bit. Let's make that a little bit more solid. This is our cast shadow. Okay, and let's come on under. Now we can do some form lines around to just show that that's a little bit more cylindrical. And over here we can do some form lines, very light, just suggest cylinders. Okay, comments are coming in hot and fast. Yeah, I could outline with a different one, but I want to keep it simple here with a different color. So wrap around the form. Over here I see like a little bit of a convex. So I don't want to get stuck in one area. I want to move around the whole drawing. I'm going to put some form lines in. I want to make this a little bit crisper. Let's come on in over here with our convex. It rolls in, so we're going to add some form. I'm getting a little heavy over there. It's okay. Let's put in that shadow shape. So this fabric would not be going like this. I'm not seeing something on the other side because the guy's cloak is kind of covering it. So don't go too dark across with this stuff. Keep it fairly light. I'm putting in some form lines, putting in some form lines over here, here and there. So this is definitely more of a sketch. The pattern in the fabric is helping to show the form lines. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm being more over the top with the form lines. I'm not really copying the fabric form lines too much. I'm trying to exaggerate them a little bit. Okay. So let's just keep going here. So now let's do a little bit on the top. And let's just add a couple of more. I'm keeping this a little bit more stylized here today for speed because this would take me a very long time. So convex, nothing really majorly dark here. A little sharper edge. Squint. This comes down. That's a little too dark for me. I got to be very careful. We want to keep our lights light and our shadows shadowy. Convex line. Let's shade this. Let's shade this a little darker in the pocket of the crease. Um, no, I never read Hogarth's Dynamic Wrinkles. Um, I'm sure most artists, teachers who teach usually come up with different terms for the same thing. So one teacher will call it, I call it the line that separates. Another teacher might call that the terminator. So I call this, when I do gesture, I use a phrase called the opposite seas. Another teacher might say line of action. So there's all different terms that these different teachers on YouTube and in the classroom use, but it's all the same thing, really. You have to gravitate towards the teacher who uses the terminologies that you like, or terms that you like. So I want to keep that a simple cylinder, just to kind of keep it simple. So you can see what I'm up to here. Line that separates, we could come on in. That's our convex, a little darker. And this is very tall line that's going to come all the way down. Another tall line. So you can see this is going to take me a long time. No doubt. This is going to take a long time for me to do, but hopefully you're getting something out of this here today. And let's do some convex lines over here. So this rolls in. I'm going to not copy this exactly. I'm going to be a little bit more stylized for the sake of the demo here for you today. So remember, in the description, I have a link to this photo of this painting, and this painting is at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's in European Paintings, and they're actually redoing. The last time I was at the museum was about a year ago, and I haven't been in the city since March, but we're not going to go there. And so I couldn't see the painting. This is truly one of my most favorite paintings. So you see what I'm doing here with those? Now I can go in and just give that its value ratio. And I could make the shadow a little bit more shadowy, a little bit darker. Yeah, totally start with the fundamentals. Okay, so let's keep going here. So let's go, let me resharpen. I have the funny feeling my microphone is going to drop. Let me just tighten that. I never had a microphone, any screw/bolt and nut come apart like this microphone does. I don't understand. It's like I barely touch it and it falls apart. Okay, let's just come on in. So my reference is really far away. Let me just do one thing here. I want to try to get just a wee bit closer. I know my finger's in the way. Sorry. Let me just get a little bit closer here. And yep. I want to make sure I'm in the camera so it's not annoying. That would annoy me 100%. So let's just go a value darker. So you see how long this is going to take me? But hopefully you got something from the lesson here today. And we can just keep building up the value. Keep building up the value. Now I've made the light and shadow over there the same. So I need to come back in and go darker. So you notice how I'm using all different pencil stroke directions, not just one, at different stages in the game. Okay? So what did we talk about here today? We talked about a lot. And we talked about form first. We talked about light hidden form. The form that we talked about was fabric is primarily cylindrical in nature, but sometimes it's a little bit more surface plane-ish. That's going to determine what the fabric is on. Okay. And no, I don't have guinea pigs and I don't have gerbils. I just have French bulldogs and another dog that's called a Morkie. Okay. Who's the terror in the house. Wrap around, sharpen this. Let's add some more form lines just for fun. Make our cast shadow. This would be where I do the model and factors. Let's add a form line. let's come on down and draw the line that separates the light from the shadow. Block it in, get rid of white paper. Well, I don't know about cute, but thank you. A Morkie is a combination of a Maltese and a Yorkshire Terrier. And his name is Bubba, and he is a devil. He's wearing a cute little shirt today, but he's addicted to my wife, so yeah, he doesn't. He might come in. He might scratch at my door to be petted and to play with. So I'm just pushing this a little bit more. This would take me a very long time, as you well know. So does anybody have any questions? You can get this photo reference by clicking on the description of the video that says show more underneath the video. There's a link, okay? Yeah, and it's a link that would bring you to Google, and the Google is a link to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And I think we're almost done here. Does anybody have any questions? That was a quick sketch day here. Now, remember, I'm not big on promotion, but if you are looking for something to do this winter break, or during the winter, it gets dark at 4:30 in the afternoon, consider a membership to drawingtutorialsonline.com. I'm offering a sale this weekend, 10% off. If you go to the description of this video where it says show more underneath the video, there's a link to where you can see my pricing page. If you want to join, you can join for a month and then cancel. So what is the difference between YouTube and the website? Well, on the website, I critique members' work. Every Monday, I critique people's work every week, one image a week, and you have access to tons of full courses from start to finish, as well as photo reference, online pose, articles, many, many different things. And the videos aren't just on how to draw things. Like I have a whole course on what is your process, what is your style, what is your subject matter. There's a lot of different things on there. I have stuff on composition. So if you're interested, you can have a 2-year membership, a 1-year membership, or just a monthly membership. And again, the monthly membership you can cancel just by emailing me, okay? And I will cancel it for you. Not a problem. People join and cancel all the time. I've had people with me for many, many years, and they stay for 2 months, they cancel. Then 3 months goes by, they join again, and they stay for 3 months, they cancel. It's just part of the game. People join when they have time to watch courses. Yeah, thank you so much. I really do appreciate everybody. Let me go get Truffs to close out this little live stream here today. 1 second. Truffs, come on. Truffs, you ever try to draw fabric? You want to draw some fabric, Truffs? You want to say hi to everybody on the live stream? Huh? You tired? You still... Oh, I hear Bubba at the door. If you guys give me a break here, I'm going to go get Bubba, okay? I'll be right back. This is going to be the first live stream with 2 dogs. 1 second. Bub, come on. Come here, Bub. Oh, man, they're heavy. So that's Bubba. Bubba doesn't have his little coat on. Bubba, come on. Oh, let me do this. Let me switch screens. Hang on there. Hang on. There's Bubba. Bubba, where are you going? What are you doing? Truffs, what are you doing today? Oh, you're growling. You don't like being on the live stream, Bubba. You going to go outside and play today? It's warm? What are you doing? Where's Mommy? Who's there? All right, let me open my office door so Bubba can run out. 1 second. Come on, Bubba. All right, everyone, listen up. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to recommend 2 books. You should be able to find these books on Amazon. Okay, and this first book is this book, and it's really thin, but the drawings in here are absolutely amazing. Okay, this is really history made today. 3 dogs at home. Yes, Anna, we're lunatics. Chloe's a big girl. Chloe's downstairs. She's another French bulldog. And there's no way I can hold. Yeah, Bubba is confused. Trust me. He's more confused than you can ever know. Um, yeah, absolutely. So this is a book that you got it, Paula, that I recommend. It's just so incredibly awesome. The drawings in here. Let me show you another one of my favorites. This page alone is another one of my favorites. I mean, the fabric is amazing. And I could do the whole live stream class today just on that page. And then the Greuze book is another, I don't know, this one would be hard to find because I got it at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I don't know if it's in print anymore, but the drawings, let me get to a drawing. A lot of his drawings are on Google. Oh, yeah, this drawing alone is worth the price of admission with this book. Okay, and there's a little boy on the back. He's great. All right, so let me just close this out. Phoenix, thank you. Yeah, next week. I don't know what I'm going to do next week, but what is the perspective mistake? Okay, all right, let me show you the perspective issue. Thank you for reminding me. Let me go back to Photoshop. Okay, awesome sauce. So Photoshop. Okay, good. Now, let me move that over. Let me get my Cintiq pen. Oh, let me move this off. Put it down. Turn on my monitor. Okay, cool. And my monitor is just turning on. So if you want a heated drawing table, keep your monitor on. So let's talk about the mistake. I'm so appreciative that you reminded me. There's too many things for me to think about here. Okay, and let me close out the layers or create a new layer. Good. Where's the mistake? Okay, I'm just moving. I have too many windows open. I've got to close some windows here. Look at the perspective on the table. So the table comes down, it hits the floor. That's the box of the side of the table, kind of. Okay, here's the table, bench, and here's the table top. So that perspective looks good. Okay, so let's just draw through her. So that's the perspective of the box of the table. And it's going back to a horizon line somewhere off to the left. Now, if this is the floor and we come across, look at how the man's feet are placed. They're placed in a total different perspective, a complete different perspective. It almost looks like in the middle of this painting, there's a pitcher's mound, a baseball pitcher's mound, and it kind of looks like this. Do you see that? That's not right. Like his foot, his heel of his shoe is above that. It's just completely wrong. So his feet are at the wrong perspective for this painting. And they're definitely on a pitcher's mound. Something, it's amazing, but it's there, okay? So that's the mistake in the painting. So let me just look at some of these comments here. One moment. Thank you, Anna. Ace, thank you. Dimitri, thank you. A beard course. Check out the live stream, one of the first live streams I did of the Bouguereau drawing, his self-portrait painting. Check that out. Let me switch gears here. 1 second. Okay, yeah, I'm on the screen. That's a good thing. Yeah, watch that for the beard. Manthan Kaler Art, watch his channel. Tom, thank you for joining and watching, Tom. I really do appreciate it. Dimitri, yeah, check out that one, Dimitri. It will help you. Yeah, thank you, Dana, so much for signing up for the membership. And be sure to post some of your work in the critique gallery over the months, okay? The good thing about the 2-year membership is that it's expensive when you buy it, but compared to the monthly, it's really cheap, and you don't get stressed out about using the monthly. And if you miss a couple of things, you have it for the 2 years, so it's really cool. Nancy, thank you so much. Yeah, the facial hair, definitely check out the Bouguereau live stream. Farron, thank you for joining from Berlin. Sandy, I appreciate that. Thank you, Sandy, so much for joining. I really do thank you. I love your photo. It looks awesome. Despairing Chocolate. The painter is... the painter is facepalming in his grave. No, I mean... Greuze is an amazing artist. He does have some funky drawings and paintings of people, but I think he was ahead of his time because a lot of his stuff is all motionful, and there's a lot of funky expressions. And yeah, I mean he was a little crazy. Is the beam on the top right wrong? I'd have to analyze it a little bit. I'll get back to you on that one. I don't think it is. It looks all right. It's just a floor. Aurora, thank you. Nancy. Isn't he stand? Yeah, he's way too high. His feet are way too high, Tim. Dennis. Aurora, please show the brush. So I'm just using a Kyle's Drawing Box Happy HB in Photoshop. No, I'm not destroying the painting. I mean, every single drawing I've ever done has a mistake in it. What really? So I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm holier than thou and I don't ever make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. But yeah, it was an eye opener to me when I saw that there was a mistake in the painting, and this painting was at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Thank you, Aura. I really do appreciate it. And that really blew my mind. Jill, thank you for joining. I really do appreciate it. Manthan, I think we got the point to watch your channels. You don't have to post it anymore. We got it. Tonda, thank you so much. Dimitri, thank you so much. Yeah, perspective. I'm going to be teaching a perspective this spring, a perspective course at the Metropolitan at the School of Visual Arts. So perspective is going to be on my mind. Helen, thank you. Perspective, yeah, will be in some of the live streams. Great lesson. Just do your thing, Manthan. Just do your thing, man, and post your videos and draw what you feel comfortable doing. Our next model. Thank you, Aurora. Yeah. There's a lot going on over there. 12-year-old. My website does have nudity because most of the website is a lot of figure drawing. I have a full-blown anatomy course. And so, yeah, the anatomy course is all nudity, but it's tasteful. It's not, not tasteful. I've had parents buy memberships for their kids, but you just have to understand that there's nudity. Thank you, Michelle. I'll try to do a class on hair. I appreciate you guys too. Boy, there's so many comments here. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to call it a day. I really do appreciate it. And I want to make sure that I get everybody here. Boy, there's so many comments today. My God, my eyes are flipping. Sam, hi. How are you, Sam? I'll read some of these afterwards in terms of future live streams, okay? All right, I know this isn't so exciting, so I'm going to call this one a day, and I'll talk to you guys soon, okay? Have a good weekend. Enjoy the leftovers. Not too many leftovers, though.